Hey everybody, Fishman here. Welcome to another video. I'd like to start off today's video by thanking everyone who took part in my most recent poll. I had asked if anyone would be interested in seeing a complete build for a filter, and it would be all done, parts, tools, everything, coming from a dollar store. And I got well over 100 respondents, and 95% of people are in favor of seeing such a thing, and I think that's really kind of cool. One small thing I must apologize for, though, is we are currently just going into another lockdown, which means I actually can't go into any dollar stores and have a look at any of their materials because they're not considered essential. And they do have curbside, but I need to actually go in and have a look at the different things and try and pick out what's best for this kind of build. So unfortunately, that means this is going to be on a hold. Now, I had one comment saying that what I could also do instead of just doing the dollar store thing is see if there are any, materials and whatnot, household materials, let's say. Nothing special, like just using scissors and that sort of stuff. And what I might do is put up a secondary poll in the interim and see if anyone would be interested in that. And I think maybe we can go ahead with that at least, because I do have obviously bottles and various materials that are easy for anyone to acquire, that you don't need special tools for all that sort of stuff. So I will probably put up another poll in another few days and see if that is interesting to anybody, and if it is, I will go ahead with that while we are waiting for all this stuff to settle down at least a little bit more. So on to today's build. I'm finally getting this, which is going to be my indoor pond. It's not going to be this deep, by the way. This is just the backsplash. I am going to have, hopefully, some features that are going to go up the back, and also things like small waterfalls, that sort of stuff. And I don't want the water splashing everywhere, so this is simply a method of keeping all the water where it needs to be. I'm also planning, hopefully in the near future, to have some sort of rack system above this, in this area here. And what I'm going to do with that is have some much smaller aquariums, hopefully get into breeding either bettas or just smaller fish. Like I did get some killifish, and even though they're very happy in that 15-gallon tank, it is a bit large for killies if you want to focus on breeding and that sort of stuff. So I might end up putting some of them in this as well. So that's something else I have to keep in mind. So this is actually had intended on doing this as a warm-up for the large paludarium build I'm doing for a client. But with everything, it ended up getting postponed, and now I am putting it together afterwards. But it's not really a big deal. The important build, which is the other one, went off without a hitch, and it is holding water, and there'll be another video for that coming up, hopefully fairly soon. So this is actually really quite straightforward at this point. I was going to use it to work out some of the bugs for these long, that's actually a fairly lengthy vertical weld. But I was doing much bigger ones for the large paludarium build, so this actually was just very straightforward, and it didn't take any time at all. The hard part about this build is the front piece, which will be coming up here shortly, and that's this thing here. This is a very old piece of acrylic, and it is cast acrylic, and one end, if you remember from the first video for this, is frosted. So the frosted side is up here, and whenever I polish acrylic, it tends to leave a bit of a film on it, and it doesn't weld properly. So what I'm doing here is I'm just covering up the edges so that none of the polishing material will get anywhere near this. I had, and my intention always is when I do this sort of thing, is to use painter's tape because it doesn't leave anything behind. But I don't have any. I can't get any. I probably could actually acquire that if I went online, but I wanted to get this job done before something else came up. So I am going to just use this. This is just packing tape. It will do the job, but unfortunately, as you're going to see in a few minutes, it's going to leave behind a bit of gummy residue. Not a problem. It is something that's reasonably easy to remove, and of course doesn't really affect anything. It's nowhere near any of the welds I'm going to be doing, so it doesn't really matter. So I am going to, as you can see, polish this. I am never ever going to do this again. This took so long. And it's also very, very tiring. It is something you have to do by hand. I know there are people who have managed to do this using commercial polishers and that sort of stuff, but I didn't want to risk it. I only have this one piece, and at least by hand I can feel what's happening underneath your fingers. You can feel the difference in the roughness, and I can feel it as it gradually got less and less as I polished this up. I think in the end I did this, well, you're only seeing bits and pieces of this, but I put down the polishing material and rubbed it for probably about 5 to 10 minutes each time, and wiped it off like this, I think altogether 5 times. I ended up getting a really nice finish on it, but it is really tedious. You know, sometimes you get a job and you figure, it should be all right. So you do it, and then it goes on that list that you have in the back of your mind that, no, I don't care if anyone wants me to do this ever again, I'm not doing it. Taking apart old aquariums is already on my list. This is going on there now. Oh, there you can see a bit of the tape that's left behind. I used some Windex and a scouring pad to get most of that off. But mostly what I'm interested in is making sure that is done on the edges. So you can see the difference. It did polish up quite nicely. You can see quite easily through it from the frost on the end to the center bit. And I didn't bother, like I said, doing all of it because I didn't want any materials getting anywhere near those welds. Old acrylic is bad enough to weld all by itself, so I didn't want any other complications. And as you can see, when this gets to the point where I'm welding it, it was a bit of a pain. It didn't go as smoothly as I had hoped. Like I said, it's cast acrylic to begin with, so it's a little harder. So it doesn't melt as easily with the methylene chloride as it does when, with the new stuff, especially the extruded. But it got there. End result is this is going to hold water, which is nice. I am going to reinforce this, not the upper lip, which is the reason for using this 1/2-inch piece of cast. But I am going to reinforce, as I did with the large paludarium, along the inside on the bottom, just to make sure that the welds hold. I don't really want to do anything extra with this in the future. So I just want this to be done and never have to look at it again as far as this goes. I really want this to hold together. And I am kind of concerned about that piece of cast acrylic. It is, like I said, difficult to weld. And I actually, it was a bit harder than I was actually planning for it to be, which is interesting. I don't usually use old acrylic, so anyway, it's an experience, and I don't recommend it to anybody. So this is going to go up. The rest of this is pretty straightforward. I am going to just finish welding this, and then it's like I said, I'm going to off camera probably do the reinforcing, and then I'm going to put some water in this and show you it at least mostly filled probably for Sunday's vlog. And then there are some other things I need to do. Obviously I have to set up that barrel, get a pump for this, and get this all set up. So you can see the weld turned out okay. I mean, it's clear. There are a couple spots where there is small gaps because first off it's 1/2 inch instead of 1/4, so it's a bit more difficult for the methylene chloride to wick all the way through, but I think most of the problem was, again, with the fact that this is really old acrylic. And there you go. You can see through it, and you can't, which is kind of cool. It is going to be much better than if I had not just left it frosted, so this is a definite improvement. So there you go. That is done. And again, like I said, I'm never going to do it again. I will probably drill a hole in that also before I fill it up, but I'm not sure if I'm going to record that either. But you can see right there's a bit of a gap. Nothing important. It doesn't go all the way through. And the weld is going to be more than strong enough. A 1/4 inch would have been perfectly fine. Except, of course, it would end up bowing way too much. So thank you very much for listening to my long drawl about putting this together, and I will try and get that other pole up shortly. And again, like I said, thank you very much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Leave lots of comments, and bye for now.